Hi guys, my name is Lelasophia. I am an artist and fine jewelry designer. If you like contemporary fine jewelry, if you like luxury handbags, all things interiors, and I have some fun videos for you. You guys, it is official and we have some fun things, in my humble opinion, to talk about today. Mr. Matthieu Blazy from currently Bottega Veneta has been officially named the new head, I believe, is a creative director or artistic director of Chanel. And even in addition, Miss Louise Trotter from Carven in a previous iteration, Lacoste, has now been named the newest creative director of Bottega Veneta. We have a very exciting swap that I'm so ready to discuss with you guys. First and foremost, if you guys are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you in all of my future videos. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram at lelasophia jewelry. I put out videos every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and so I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Full transparency, I did indeed record this video and I plug it into my computer, and yeah, the whole thing was in slow motion with no sound. So if I forget a point that I talked about before, maybe it's meant to be, but essentially I cannot wait to open this discussion. I know some of my dear friends, some of my dear friends over here are distraught and devastated. I too, let's just not scratch everything, pause for a second. My excitement does not indicate that I'm also excited for Matthieu Blazy to be leaving Bottega Veneta. I am still quite sad, okay? It's gonna be an interesting transition, and a part of this video is going to be me talking about the bag slash maybe one or two bags that I might perhaps need, to get before I don't even know. I'm like, sometimes they get discontinued before the transition is complete in the next year or so from Matthieu Blazy to Louise Trotter. There's definitely gonna need to be one more Matthieu Blazy for Bottega bag in my collection. So just saying, this doesn't mean that I'm happy for him to be leaving Bottega, but I do think that in the grand scheme of things, this is kind of like a very iconic appointment in my humble opinion. Another kind of disclaimer, I do have an entire video when his name was first, you know, kind of like officially, unofficially, officially dropped as like the top contender or in a list of top contenders. I think via Miss Tweed and probably a couple other, you know, publications that were saying that he was a very strong contender. I immediately made a video because, you know, my just like weird wishful thinking, if Mary-Kate or Ashley Olsen or Matthieu Blazy were to become creative directors of Chanel, I really think that that would just usher in an entire new era, because I am very obviously, you know, oh, first of all, hello to my little Hirono that I forgot might make an appearance if I move this way too far. Clearly, my favorite brands are Bottega Veneta and The Row, and I only have one little Chanel bag that Hirono's in its place right now because she was being used today and many of the days. I love a good chunk of the Chanel designs. Very often I find myself saving like dozens, maybe a dozen, let's to be fair, probably like a solid 12 vintage Chanel bags. When I go on a bender, I definitely one day would like to extend my collection. Again, if you watch this video right here, you will see some reasons as to why I have not been partaking in purchasing Chanel. And then our dear friend Mary over here just released one of her incredible collection videos on her personal Chanel bags. And I was like, yeah, one day we'll need to really start becoming a vintage Chanel collector because they're just so incredible. And already we've gotten off to a tangent, but I think it's important to know that this is not coming from a massive, you know, collector of Chanel. This is actually coming from a bit of a critique of Chanel. Not design-wise, you know, higher up-wise, quality-wise. There's a couple things that really have not a lot to do with the actual designs themselves. So that's where my voice is coming from. I guess the one kind of like, you know, continuous thread as to why I'm just so happy, because we'll get into the designs first, but as a Moroccan woman, I'm half Moroccan, my dad's family, my dad, my siblings, everybody is from Morocco, lives there now, has lived there their entire lives and my entire life. And I just have to always, if I want to be the representation that I didn't really have and still don't really have, I have to give flowers to the people who are kind of like giving a little bit of a spotlight to fellow Arab and Middle Eastern and North African women and artists, and especially as a singer myself, I just have to highlight what an absolute safe space Matthieu Blazy has created for people like us in the fashion industry, in an industry that doesn't often feel very safe for us. You know, especially it's like I obviously am not always represented from my body size and shape as a plus size woman. I'm also definitely not always represented as a North African woman. And Matthieu Blazy this entire last year particularly has, like, I wanted to specifically say this as well because I don't think I mentioned this in my first video because it kind of like came to my brain, that there's a huge conversation about representation on the actual physical runway. Matthieu Blazy has taken it a step even further, maybe many steps further, and not just showing representation and diversity and really giving spotlights and airtime and literal physical camera time to minorities and a very diverse group of minorities on the runway. Yes, we could work on some, you know, we could work on some size inclusivity. Sure, that is my one little just over here in the corner saying that every single video, but he took it to the audience as well. And I think the few shows, especially the last 2, 3, 4 shows, I've been like, oh my God, thank you for doing the cute little pre-runway red carpet / whatever color carpet, orange carpet, I think it's been specifically, I don't even know. The carpet interviews, like the little carpet walkthroughs, because he really intentionally is highlighting the audience members and intentionally showcasing people who might not have that much of a presence in other shows, in other elements of this gigantic fashion industry that can be quite exclusive. And just from a, you know, I'm a sucker, I'm a musician, you know, like the second James Blake and Sampha walked the runway several seasons ago, I was like, Matthieu Blazy is my person. And then we had Jules LeBron and we had Iman Khalif, and we know I'm obsessed with ASAP and Skepta, and you know what I mean? It's like people from just like purely vibe purposes that I just really love and I think should get all the flowers that they deserve. But also Matthieu Blazy has really been very intentional with his work. And then he did an entire, I believe it was in, I can't remember where exactly it was. It could have been in Dubai or in the UAE somewhere, but he did an entire performance. I guess, I'm not sure if it was like sponsored by Bottega or a Bottega event, something like that, featuring specifically some of my favorite Palestinian artists. And so like, I just have to be here championing for minorities and especially Arab women when we really don't have the most representation in this fashion industry. So that's my little soapbox right here, because bringing that to a house like Chanel that has, let's say, not the most inclusive history, I think is quite literally groundbreaking, and I'm very grateful and will proudly, despite my thoughts and feelings on perhaps the higher ups, aka the owners of Chanel, I can very, very, very proudly, I think, begin purchasing Chanel again, which I'm really excited for. I'm thinking that one of my lights is a bit dying, so I'm gonna add another light. So hold pause here because it's about to get real bright. Did that do anything? I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't matter at this point. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff because I also really want to spend some time just getting very giddy and excited about Louise Trotter for Bottega Veneta as well. Matthieu Blazy, though, has the spotlight right now because I just have to say, first of all, I owned I had many bags from the Daniel Lee era, but this year I am so grateful to say that I have ticked off my 2 personal favorites so far. There's one that we'll get to in a second that I think I really might be needing to add, but I purchased, oh my gosh, and this is so true too, there's even another really cool element that I didn't really think of, but the 2 purchases that I've made from specifically the Matthieu Blazy for Bottega Veneta era this year, actually literally within the last like 12 to 16-ish months ago, my Bottega Veneta Sardine that's all the way in the back right there in the medium size in the fondant color. My favorite bag in my entire collection. She's easy, she's perfect, I wear her all the time, it will be my go-to bag for the rest of my life. I know it. It's perfection. I know a lot of people have said that that bag is trendy. Clearly, she's a little art nerd over here in my little corner of the internet. The references, the sardine sculptures, I think are quite timeless, and I really will love that bag for the rest of my life. Trust and believe. And what I was going to say is I think both of these bags are like completely new creations from Matthieu Blazy's brain, and so that I think is really, really, really cool, because my second one, I don't think I've ever seen a bag like this. My bandana foulard bag, aka it's called the bandana bag by Bottega Veneta, made of foulard leather. That bag, it just, you guys who know my channel, you guys who have seen me, you guys who saw me, my journey to getting that bag, it's kind of like a rare, randomly elusive Matthieu Blazy style for Bottega. It is one of my favorite bags in my entire collection. You have no idea how excited I am to have it. I am so, it's just like, I think it's really innovative. I think that Matthieu Blazy does, I mean, I'm sure I could think of comparisons, but I think that Matthieu Blazy shines in two very distinctive areas. Yes, there is the innovative, we're pushing the boundaries. There's a little bit of kitschiness, totally. That's been so, I'd say more like the last year. It's been like, oh my God, did we know he was so whimsical? Like, it's giving a little Jonathan Anderson, not as whimsical as Jonathan Anderson, but like a little playful. The entire last collection was literally based off of like a dad bringing his children to school. Or some of the pieces were iconic, like a man wearing a gigantic pink backpack, like carrying one of his children's backpacks. That's iconic. So there's a playfulness that I didn't see at first, that then really I think maybe Matthieu Blazy got comfortable and just like started playing around. However, there's this beautiful marriage between making something that's innovative. Yes, it's pushing the boundaries. It's like I truly think my bandana bag, it's weird, it's interesting, it's different than anything you've ever seen before. Is it the most functional bag you've ever seen? No. Is my sardine bag the most functional bag? Absolutely. Actually, both of them, I would say. There's something like the gigantic metal details. Yes, I'm a jewelry designer. Okay, it's cliche. I like the bags with gigantic, huge sculptural metal pieces on them. Maybe that's really, I don't know, cheesy and cliche of me to love something that's like pretty, you know, one could pinpoint that I would love that. And yet, all of that said, in my very long runaround way, all of that said, there's like a crazy timeless element that I swear I feel. Could you name a more perfect, just extract that one little point. Could you name a more perfect idea for a house like Chanel? I don't think so. Truly, I think that he will be able to push the boundaries while making every single individual piece so darn timeless. Can you imagine how difficult that is to do? I honestly cannot. And again, I'm a designer. There's an element of making something that will be an instant classic that still has never been seen before is such a cool oxymoronic place to reside in. My other favorite element of his, that may even be my favorite element, to be really honest. I think I've talked about this a lot, but there's a way in which not a lot of designers are able to truly, like, yes, so many designers, and that's become a whole thing, I think since the Y2K era, but really just forever, of reissuing bags. Sure, amazing, cool, it works, they sell, bang, bang, boom, you're done, you're making money. The way that Matthieu Blazy has reissued, and we'll get to, now I can say my favorite bag, the hot bag in particular, Daniel Lee did his thing as well, okay? If the original Bottega Hobo bag under Daniel Lee was the Jody bag, Daniel Lee said, oh, I'm gonna modernize it. And I'm gonna add this really cool, interesting detail, and then that iteration can become so many different imagined items, and that can go on forever. That was like taking his own voice to it. Matthieu Blazy, oh my God, it's like a knife. Like, he's just able to like slice, I don't know why that analogy came up in my brain, but it is like there's just a way that he's able to like so surgically extract the perfect elements of the original reference version, bring it into today. Yes, the innovative element is coming into play here, but still really make it very of the house and still timeless. How is that possible? I truly don't know. I think there were a couple bags that maybe prove that to me, like the Andiamo bag. I've seen the references for that. The Andiamo still is not mine. I think it's amazing. All of my subscribers who have it say it's the literal perfect bag of all time. It has never pulled at my heartstrings. Do I think it's more, I was gonna say better, but do we think it's more relevant than the original ones? Yes. Maybe it's the original ones that have like, no, I don't even know why. It's just not my vibe, and that's totally okay. I love it still. I just don't need one. The hop bag for me, the second that bag got released, I said, oh, he's actually a genius. And not that I needed any more reason, but there's something like it's just like so universally perfect about the hop bag. And when you look at the two side by side, I just really like the trends. I've talked so much, and Mary gave me the kindest shout out, talking about how I always talk about the transition between Daniel Lee and Matthieu Blazy, because I think it was the most iconic transition. And yes, I'm sure there are people who are going to argue that. And let's not say iconic, because there have been really iconic transitions in the fashion industry from creative director to creative director. I think it was one of the most seamless, because Matthieu Blazy did not do the exact same thing. He took it on his own. He really made styles his own. He pushed the brand even further, but yet, like, I think made a lot of references to how much he respected and loved, and I'm just totally making this up, but clearly he really played off of Daniel Lee, and I think honored how much Daniel Lee did for the house, because we have to admit how, like, I mean, that's iconic, I can say. Daniel Lee brought Bottega Veneta into today, and I'm so sorry. It is one of the top brands of the last 5 years, right? Maybe even 6 years or something like that. And that is all thanks to one man and the team that he acquired for that. And Bottega Veneta really like giving that power to someone who's so brilliant and so genius. And again, many videos on my channel on that. And it is I think it's just a really cool thing seeing I don't even know, it's not like necessarily an evolution, but seeing the vintage references that Matthieu Blazy has taken, the Daniel Lee styles, and then seeing how he honors them. He doesn't push them aside. He just is really able to do things that I think not a lot of other designers have done. The Dior saddlebag, reimagined beautifully. Was it groundbreakingly different? Were there things that were added? Sure, totally. It was like a little bit bigger and a little bit more functional. Not really much was changed. Matthieu Blazy is able to like so seamlessly, you'll be like, oh, this looks familiar, but why is it so much better? And why is it more functional? And why does it look chic? Like there's something that's just so brilliant. And I think I said this when I filmed this video first, the way that he's about to probably be a child in a candy store, as he deserves to be. Can you imagine? I probably have this like imaginary scenario in my brain, like the first day on the job, you like open the archives. Chanel has such an insane history that Matthieu Blazy has so much to play with. And I think that he is just going to be simply brilliant with honoring all of the main eras of Chanel that we know and love. And really, I think like somehow perfectly MacGyvering to like, we can't tell how, I don't know. It's like, we'll still know that it's like signature Chanel, but then with just a modern flair that still is gonna look timeless. And that, I think, again, I just have to honor how difficult that is and how seamlessly he seems, again, sorry, redundant, how seamlessly he seems to do that, because the examples at Bottega are astonishing to me. And then he'll be able to really push the envelope. In the major video that I'm referencing on me getting so excited for the possibility of him becoming the next creative director, one of my subscribers made a very good point, which is, I was like, oh, he'll be able to like really bring back the quality to Chanel, and he'll make sure that the bags are just as good quality as the vintage versions, and he'll want to make sure that Bottega's quality, that people that know and love him and have collected the Bottega bags from his era will be able to seamlessly jump over to Chanel, and the quality will be just as good. And it is totally true. I could just be really having a lot of wishful thinking going on. And I don't know who in the line decides, okay, we can spend more on some beautiful Italian buttery leather and, you know, pay higher, like more specialized artisans and whatnot. But a girl can just dream that someone to the level of Matthieu Blazy will want, at least. I don't know how it will go, but we'll at least try, so that he can bring back quality, not bring back a higher level of quality to Chanel. Because I mean, again, this is probably an interesting next video, or at some point, maybe a whole separate video topic is what I'm saying, because I really think, maybe even spurred by the quiet luxury, I know, so controversial, maybe spurred by the quiet luxury thing, maybe spurred by, you know, this current state of our economy, the economy's, you know, voice of the last couple of years. I really, really, really think that brands, rightfully so, have been called out so much more now than possibly ever, or maybe it just was worse than ever. Brands have been, I think, are being held to higher standards these days. And maybe Chanel knows that. And maybe Chanel knows that they needed to bring in someone who will be able to demand whatever, who will be able to really beautifully and possibly even subtly and, like, I don't even know, you know, poetically bring back some of that old school, really beautiful vintage quality. Because I can say my Chanel bag that's hanging on my front door in my foyer, I beat the living daylight out of that bag. I've worn it so much, it is almost unrecognizable to the day that I got it. The buttery quality has never left that leather. The hardware, not one complaint, it still looks perfect. It is perfection and I love it so much. And yes, probably now I might need to do some digging into the vestiaire and the real archives and maybe get a new Chanel bag this year. But let's go into the fun part. I think that I will, because again, like, especially my one dear internet friend here, who you know who you are, I love. I just really, like, yes, it is really sad because trust me, which we'll get to the really positive parts, but we will miss, just as the same as we miss Daniel Lee, doesn't detract from Matthieu Blazy's amazingness, that will not detract from Louise Trotter's amazingness. I don't even think that's a word, but we're gonna go with it. We still are gonna be sad, okay? So maybe I need to get one piece before that bag gets discontinued. The two pieces, maybe three, but we'll say two for right now because I'm gonna be real. Okay, and then we'll add in the fragrances. The fragrances are amazing. Please don't discontinue the fragrances, Bottega. You just launched them. Matthieu Blazy, please just let them have that, please. I just love them so much and I need one, so I need a fragrance. Okay, now even more. This is the prime example of how amazing, so underrated, by the way. Don't understand how this is, like, truly this level of underratedness. Again, we're just using lelasophia words today. Go with it, or, you know, yeah, let me down in the comments. That's totally fine. We know I'm not the best. The Lauren bag is painfully underrated. I need that bag for sure. I was, you know, me being economical and being my little self and always shopping on the pre-loved market and saving a whole bunch of money, as I do most often. Literally, my sardine bag is pretty much my only full price retail from store bag that I've gotten in a very long time, let's just say. The Lauren bag is so good. I will be needing one. I'm so grateful. I saw it in the small size. No, not for me. It's cute. If you need like a cute little going out bag, adorable. The teen Lauren is perfection. They came out with this color called Pine Cone, and I will be needing it in that. I also think like things like the Andiamo clutch. Yes, not that I really am doing this as much anymore, but I think it just got I was like inundated with it. It got a little oversaturated, but I really still probably could use one. And it's so amazing. Or maybe it wasn't even that, because I don't want to live in that world anymore, that I'm like, ugh, everybody has it, I don't need it. I very shortly after wanting the Andiamo clutch got from the very second collection of the Row making bags from 2012. I got a baguette bag that's essentially clearly the Row's nod to a Kelly cut. Clearly this is Matthieu Blazy's nod to a Kelly cut, and so maybe that satiated me, but yeah, I still think about it. So those are the two that I have my eye on. I'd love to know what styles from Matthieu Blazy at Bottega Veneta you have your eye on. And then we have which I want everybody, I think everybody's like even more excited than me. Like I hope everybody's to this level of excitement. Then we have the concept of Louise Trotter, not the concept, the realized concept of Louise Trotter at Bottega Veneta. Again, whoever is making these decisions, good job, because seamless. And again, nothing has even happened. This was just announced yesterday from when you're watching this. Genius. Louise Trotter, I talked about a lot when Carven was first announced with her as creative director, because I was like, hold the phone. What is going on here? This woman brought, again, the same Daniel Lee level, in my opinion, just maybe not as recognized as it should have been or should be, I guess now been, yeah, because I'm not sure what's going to happen with Carven. That's going to be an interesting conversation. She brought a Daniel Lee level comeback to a house that I hadn't heard of in a long time, to a house that sure I maybe have heard a little bit of, but really not a whole lot. I think I found like those early first images of Carven's, you know, like proposed, updated, whole new reimagined vibe. Like, I don't even know, it might have been through some random stylist page that then posted on Pinterest, and I went down a whole rabbit hole and I was like, hold the phone, what is this? You know me, again, I'm in my weird little artist corner in the internet. It was the photography for me. It was the film, the use of film for me. It was the use of the muddled colors that just perfectly matched each other for me. It was the simple yet sophisticated vibe of all of the bags. There was something like a little bit more whimsical about it, very timeless and yet very specific. We love the oxymorons here. I think that she did wonders for the House of Carven. And you know what? I was like, even though I'll be sad or maybe happy, hopefully someone will succeed her in a really beautiful way and continue Carven's voice the way that it has been. But I think that she will have like, that was like a really cool, almost like portfolio addition to her resume. You know what I mean? Because she did wonders. She did an amazing, I think she had a really cool creative directorship at Lacoste prior to that, but Carven seemed to be where she, I don't know anything about this woman. Literally, I've never met her in my life, but I feel like it felt very authentic. Something felt extremely authentic. It felt like her voice, and yet a brand like, I'm gonna say this in a very nice way, so I'm gonna say it the opposite way, or like towards the opposite viewpoint, but a brand like Bottega Veneta that has a presumably, you never know, but that has presumably a much higher budget. Someone like Louise Trotter, I'm just so excited to see her at a house like Bottega Veneta, because at the house of Bottega Veneta to be specific, because that budget, okay, her quotas, the fact that she will be actively, I can't remember if I like had lost my train of thought and come back, but I think that she'll be able to truly essentially make more bags is what I'm saying. I think the sad part for me at Carven was I got so excited with like the cool behind the scenes images and the runways and everything was amazing. We love slow consumption here. Okay, we love that. I put out 1 to 2 collections a year and that's it, okay? And I think that everybody should be taking their time and really digesting pieces slower and appreciating their pieces more. But Carven released things very slowly and in very small batches, and so I just will be really excited to see what she can, her full potential, essentially. Or, you know, grow up to her full potential at Bottega Veneta, because I think that she will be given so many beautiful opportunities to showcase even more of that authenticity. And I'm just so excited. Maybe even like, again, I'm really just using Carven as like my main point because I really identified with the with the voice of it. So maybe I'm implementing some wishful thinking here, but there's something like a little bit more minimal, you know what I mean? Again, the Matthieu Blazy, like the whimsy of Bottega Veneta. Yes, I'm, you know, sadly I can't go and buy one of those gigantic, beautiful jackets that are probably $20-something thousand. You know what I mean? Like, I think Louise Trotter will be able to like pull it back a little bit. I obviously loved the minimal way in which she seemed to be styling her runways, and there was something just like, I don't know, there was something a bit more minimalistic about it, and so sue me. Okay, I'm not a minimalist when it comes to things, but visually that is more so my vibe. I think it's really beautiful. And there's also just, again, yeah, to repeat myself, I think there's something really, I would see it as universal and timeless while still continuing the evolution of Bottega Veneta. That, yes, those are pretty big shoes to fill. But I think that she's really like, I think I couldn't have picked two better people for two gigantic, very serious jobs. And so I, for one, am very excited. I cannot wait to hear everybody's thoughts down below. Are you guys like distraught? Are we sad? Who would you have wanted instead in both roles or either? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm so excited to hear everybody's thoughts down below. And I'm more excited, even more excited to see you in my next one. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys.